It's nice just to allow these mantras to really sink in with us. And the more that we can become familiar with repeating them in our mind, the more they start to sink deeper and deeper into our being, our heart space, and our soul, hopefully. And so I wanted to just touch base a little bit again on what inspired this mantra. And it really was inspired by the concept that we create our own reality, which most of us are familiar with this concept now. And part of the way that we create our reality is through our word choice. And this is kind of a fun thing to explore, really, when you think about all of the words that we choose in how we talk to ourselves, how we express ourselves to others, and how we communicate the happenings of our lives. Each word really carries a creative punch behind it that has the power to result in consequence and result in manifestation. And so when we are becoming more and more of our own operational systems, like what are we actually thinking about, and do we really have the power to create or manifest our own life, this is one of the things that we have to start checking into, is how do we speak to ourselves? What is the language that we use? And do we need to make some changes? And one of the words that came to mind that I think is maybe one of the first words that I consciously started changing in my own vocabulary was problem. And you might already be able to tell that the word problem, it has something in it that starts to pull down. And so we're just talking about words and selection of words and how valuable they are to creating our own life, and why this mantra was selected specifically for these words, and playing on the idea of words and the power that they have, and thinking about the word problem. And if you let that settle in a little bit, the word problem, it sort of comes with this negative connotation that we are going to have to endure something that we really don't like, or this is going to cause a lot of havoc in our life, or it's just unfortunate. And it can even come with a little bit of blame, like we want to put that problem over there or put it on somebody else. And one of the words that I started switching problem to is challenge. And challenge feels different in my body. I'm not sure if that's something that you might want to exercise as well, and see if it starts to change anything in how you start to experience the world. But challenge has more of a positive charge to it, in terms of allowing my inner strength to believe that this is here for me and that I have the opportunity to rise above it. So just talking about wordplay and the word problem versus the word challenge, and how the impact of the words we choose does have a consequence and a creative impact on the way that our lives turn out, how we see our lives, how we relate to others. And one of the reasons that mantra meditation is so great for practicing this concept is that it's not about emptying. It's not about sorting through all of the shit that we want to clear out. It's just about starting to put new things in. And the mantra is making your mind full, becoming mindful of conscious words that we want to select, that we want to repeat, that we want to slowly inscript on the deeper parts of ourselves, that we want to write right into our hearts, so that we choose these words automatically as we start to move through our day. And one of the words that's in our mantra tonight is grace. And I wanted to share this with you. I looked this up. These are not my words. This is actually on Wikipedia, because I was looking, what is grace? And I thought this was interesting. It says, divine grace is a theological term, the divine influence that operates in humans to regenerate and sanctify, to inspire virtuous impulses, and to impact strength to endure trial and resist temptation. And the word grace for me is something that I was longing for deeply for the last few years. And when I think about it now, I see how it shows up. And in my experience of grace, it is those brief moments of transition before we react, or before we act from a place that is not going to serve the whole situation. And it might just be a very slight pause. Some of you might experience it as that very gentle whisper that goes, don't say that, or give them a minute. These little warnings that kind of drop into our ears or our minds, or maybe even our souls. I'm not sure how it works, that let us know that we need that little bit of pause, and we need to transform that response from what we were originally wanting to habitually, the way that we wanted to habitually respond. And so it starts to pose the question, if words are so powerful and they do help us create our reality, then do we have the language? What sort of language are we using? And one of the things that has been brought to my attention through one of my teachers is that a lot of the time we use a language of reason. And we use a language of reason, and reason is wonderful because it gives birth to things like science and research and needing to understand how things work and why things are. But the concept of God, or the concept of the universe or divine, or whatever you want to call it, however you're comfortable associating with it, it is not a concept of reason. It doesn't operate in a reasonable way. It is unreasonable. It is mythical. It is about faith. And so what sort of language do we use? Is it only a language of reason, or can we use, or start to use, these languages that are, or language that is more a scripture from the soul? And so this mantra today came directly through that space, and it's the same one that we used yesterday for those of you that were with me. And the language of the soul is a high vibrational. It carries light. It can transform. It can transform. And so overall, this concept, do we create our own reality? If we do, how are we doing that? Is it through the language of words that we use? And if that is true, how do we speak? And I just want to drop these little seeds because it is a fun experiment just to watch very closely the language that we use, and to understand or buy into this idea that what if every word does have a creative impact? What if it does have a consequence? Then would we not become more selective and more aware and more mindful of other language to use? So today we're going to be using the same mantra from yesterday, which I'll hold up. I know it's backwards on Instagram. Hope you can see it. So it says, may the grace to endure be with me. And then we'll also say, may it be with you and all beings. So may the grace to endure be with me. And endure is one of those words from the soul that it has a lot of power, and it carries a lot of light, because it's also connected to that feeling of being resilient. And there's a lot that we have to endure right now together. We can't outrun what is happening. There's a certain amount of just embracing what is that has to happen, and the challenges that will still come for some of us, losing jobs and losing money and losing interaction with people, losing business, whatever that looks like. There will be challenges to endure. And so we ask for grace, the grace of endurance, so that we may have moments, brief moments, to transform our response or reaction to the things that are going to be challenging us in the life to come. And so if you have a mala bracelet or a mala or something that you count prayer on, you want to grab it at this time, go ahead. We'll get started, and we will start with me first. I don't mean me, I mean we, me. May the grace of endurance be with me. And remember that I will slowly start to drop off words. And this is just to encourage you to keep repeating the mantra to help instill confidence that your voice can be heard all on its own, whether you repeat it out loud or internally. And eventually the spaces will get longer and longer, and I'll only be indicating the breath, and we'll breathe together, and the mantra will be repeated, your choice, as I said, either out loud or silently. Okay. So if you're seated or lying down, you can close your eyes. If you're moving about the world, please keep your eyes and ears open. And all together, let's take a big inhale breath. Exhale out the mouth. Just see if you can come into your body a little bit, noticing the places where there might be tension. See if you can breathe into those areas. Maybe you can notice the places of your body that are touching each other, hand in hand, hand on leg. We open our hearts to the counsels of light that surround us, to the spirits that guide us and the angels that watch over us. Please hear our prayer. Let's begin. Inhale. May the grace of endurance be with me. Inhale. May the grace of endurance be with me. Inhale. May the grace of endurance be with me. Inhale. May the grace of endurance be with me. Inhale. May the grace of endurance be with me. Inhale. May the grace of endurance be with me. Inhale. May the grace of endurance be with me. Inhale. May the grace of endurance. Inhale. May the grace of endurance be with me. Inhale. May the grace. Inhale. May the grace of endurance. Inhale. Inhale. May the grace of endurance be with me. Inhale. May the grace of endurance be with me. Inhale. May the grace. Inhale. May the grace of endurance be with me. Inhale. May the grace. Inhale. 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 May the grace of endurance be with me. Inhale. Take another inhale breath. Exhale out the mouth. The second round of mantra will be a blessing and prayer to offer outwardly. So at this time, think of the person that you have passed maybe a few times, maybe only once in your life, but whose face you can recall quite specifically. This is a person that maybe you buy coffee from, or someone you see delivering your paper. And the reason we do this is so that we can begin from a place of equal emotion, where there's no emotional charge behind our prayer that we offer outwardly. In the teachings of the Buddha, most of his inquiries were around how to end suffering. And he found that attachment was at the root of all suffering. And by coming into a place of equal emotion without emotional charge, we are able to offer this blessing and prayer freely from the purity of our hearts. Please refrain from offering this wish to someone you have sexual relation with. Just know that the people you love dearly and most intimately will automatically receive benefit from your efforts of spending time cultivating love and kindness. And as we continue through this mantra, if your heart starts to expand where you see people that are familiar, of course, you are welcome to wish this prayer towards them as well. So again, in the blank spaces, just do your best to repeat. I'll jump back in eventually. Let's begin. Inhale. Exhale out the mouth. Inhale. May the grace of endurance be with you. Inhale. May the grace of endurance be with you. Inhale. May the grace of endurance be with you. Inhale. May the grace of endurance be with you. Inhale. May the grace of endurance. Inhale. May the grace. Inhale. May the grace of endurance be with you. Inhale. May the grace. Inhale. May the grace of endurance be with you. Inhale. Inhale. May the grace of endurance be with you. Inhale. May the grace of endurance. Inhale. May the grace of endurance be with you. Inhale. May the grace. Inhale. May the grace of endurance be with you. Inhale. Inhale. May the grace of endurance be with you. Inhale. 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 May the grace of endurance be with you. Inhale. Take another deep inhale. Exhale out the mouth. We move into our last round, which is for all beings. And I invite you to start with people that are closer to home. So maybe in your home or on your street, people in the same apartment building, even just the building across the street. And then slowly just notice how your heart will expand and begin to soar. Maybe very far away, maybe just to the next town. It doesn't really matter. And again, in the blank spaces, just let it be as it is. It may come out, it may not. Trust that the more that you repeat, it is in there. I'm writing words in your heart. You can trust that. And if the mind begins to wander, just walk it back. Again, this practice is not about emptying the mind and being clear of thought. But when we choose a single point of focus, like the mantra, all of a sudden we see the movement of our mind. Anything that's outside of that mantra starts to come into view as well. And that's a wonderful skill to build. Stay with it. Let's begin. Take a big inhale breath. Exhale out the mouth. Inhale. May the grace of endurance be with all beings. Inhale. May the grace of endurance be with all beings. Inhale. May the grace of endurance be with all beings. Inhale. May the grace of endurance. Inhale. May the grace of endurance be with all beings. Inhale. May the grace of endurance. Inhale. May the grace of endurance be with all beings. Inhale. Inhale. May the grace of endurance be with all beings. Inhale. Inhale. May the grace. Inhale. May the grace of endurance be with all beings. Inhale. 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 May the grace of endurance be with all beings. Inhale. May the grace of endurance. Inhale. May the grace of endurance be with all beings. Inhale. 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 May the grace of endurance be with all beings. Inhale. May the grace of endurance be with all beings. Inhale. 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 May the grace of endurance be with all beings. Inhale. Inhale. May the grace of endurance. Inhale. May the grace. Inhale. Inhale. May the grace of endurance be with all beings. Inhale. Inhale. May the grace of endurance be with all beings. Inhale. Inhale. May the grace of endurance be with all beings. Inhale. Inhale. May the grace of endurance be with all beings. Inhale. Take one more inhale. Exhale out the mouth. Keeping the eyes closed if you can. Bringing your heart to heart center. Bringing your hands to heart center in prayer. Or hands over your stomach, in your lap, wherever is comfortable. We ask that in these times of challenge, for grace to hover over us, leading us into these subtle spaces, even if only briefly. Spaces to transform, spaces to respond rather than react, spaces to act from love rather than fear. From my heart to yours, thank you so much for joining. Tomorrow is the last evening. It's my last day of quarantine. And I think I'm going to continue something. I'm not entirely sure what that will be yet. Perhaps one day a week, or once my flying schedule is sorted out, I will have a more clear answer on what that looks like. And so that will come April 1st for sure. And otherwise, thank you so much for joining. For everyone who's joined so far, it's my absolute pleasure to be with you. And I hope to see more of you in the future. Also, if you're wondering about this cute little number that I'm wearing here, check this out. Bum, bum, bum. It's like a big blanket. This is basically a functional blanket that's also stylish, made with love by my mother. Her name is Bo Boland on Instagram if you'd like to look her up. Who knows? Maybe you can have one too. Much love. Bye.